Madison Heights City Council. We welcome you this evening to our council meeting that I would now like to call to order. And Ms. Brenzy, call the roll, please.
Councilman Bliss?
Here.
Councilman Clark?
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Corbett?
Present.
Councilman Gettings?
Here.
Councilwoman Scott? Councilwoman Scott? Here. Councilman Soltis?
Here.
Mayor Swanson?
Present. The invitation this evening is going to be given by Councilwoman Scott. We'd ask you to rise and then please stand, continue standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Dear Father of time and eternity, we give you thanks and praise that you have blessed this city, government, employees, and its citizens in this year of our Diamond 60th anniversary. Grant us your gifts of love, joy, and peace as we continue in faithful service, admiration, and constant purpose. Bless us as we continue to search for our needs and proper destiny. And help us to grow in adequate fulfillment of our duties to those who live and work in our city. Bless all our citizens, keep them safe and healthy, and give them reasons to celebrate these memorable 60 years of progress and satisfaction. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item on the agenda is presentations, and we have 4, and these are presentations for the 60th wedding anniversary, and the names are Bill and Mary Ellen Wren, Harold and Clara Booms, Robert and Camille Keys, Robert and Barbara Scharner. Everybody's here? Okay. Thanks a lot for being here, folks.
Yes, we're going to do these chronologically, so there is an order, and we'd ask that each family would come up at the appropriate time. So we're going to start with the Wrens.
Right.
Whereas on July 23rd, 2015, Bill and Mary Ellen Wren rejoiced in the celebration of their 60th diamond wedding anniversary. And whereas their love and dedication is an inspiring example to all, and they will surely reminisce on their life together with great joy and cherished memories. And whereas Mr. and Mrs. Wren have been longtime residents of Madison Heights, living in the city for 59 years, and having been actively involved as city election inspectors as well as travelers. And whereas they have been blessed by their children, Tim, Jim, Sean, Kevin, Terry, Eileen, and Maureen, and their family has grown to include 17 grandchildren and 8 great-grandchildren. Now therefore be it resolved that the Mayor and City Council of Madison Heights do hereby recognize and honor Bill and Mary Ellen Wren, wishing them and their family our sincere congratulations on this very special occasion and best wishes for many more years of happiness together.
Will you folks come up? Okay, would you start down there and everybody's going to shake your hand? How's that? Hey, how you doing tonight? I was very sorry about your sister. I'm very sorry about that.
Congratulations, ma'am. Congratulations. Good job.
Wonderful.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations.
There you go.
Okay, now here, hold that. Just like, somebody have a camera?
Yeah, right here.
Okay. Here, go over here. Come over here. Okay.
Mary Ellen, can you face me? Okay, that's good. All right.
Okay.
All right, good. Thank
Okay,
you.
good. Congratulations. Okay.
Oh, and paperwork. Mayor.
Oh, yes, we do have a gift for you, too. Snow shovel. No.
Thank you. Congratulations.
No more taxes, right. Yeah.
Congratulations. Good to see you too.
Congratulations.
Hey, Bill. Congratulations.
Next couple is Harold and Clara Boom.
Whereas on October 8th, 2015, Harold and Clara Booms will rejoice in the celebration of their 60th diamond wedding anniversary. And whereas their love and dedication is an inspiring example to all, and they will surely reminisce on their life together with great joy and cherished memories. And whereas Mr. and Mrs. Booms have been longtime residents of Madison Heights, living in the city for 60 years, and whereas they have been blessed by their children, Susan, Sandra, Edward, Janice, Elizabeth, and Sarah, and their family has grown to include 7 grandchildren. Now therefore be it resolved that the Mayor and City Council of Madison Heights do hereby recognize and honor Harold and Clara Booms, wishing them and their family our sincere congratulations on this very special occasion, and best wishes for many more years of happiness together.
Good. Would you folks step up, please? Congratulations, man.
Congratulations, ma'am. Good job. Congratulations, sir. Good job.
Congratulations. You stuck it out with him, huh? Congratulations to you, sir. All right.
Oh, would you go back there so I can get your picture with the mayor?
Okay.
Okay, that's good. I want to see you. All right, that's good. All right, 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, I hope you have many.
Oh, yeah, here we have your gift, yes.
Sir?
Sir?
Nice, yeah. Next is Robert and Camille Keys. Is there anybody here from them? Please, if you would, come on.
Whereas on November 24th, 2015, Robert and Camille Keys will rejoice in the celebration of their 60th diamond wedding anniversary. And whereas their love and dedication is an inspiring example to all, and they will surely reminisce on their life together with great joy and cherished memories. And whereas Mr. and Mrs. Keys have been longtime residents of Madison Heights, living in the city for 57 years, and having been actively involved in the city's Crime Commission, St. Vincent Ferrer Parish and School, as well as Bishop Foley High School. And whereas they have been blessed by their children, Robert, Mary Allison, Eric, and Melissa, and their family has grown to include 9 grandchildren and 4 great-grandchildren. Now therefore be it resolved that the Mayor and City Council of Madison Heights do hereby recognize and honor Robert and Camille Keys, wishing them and their family our sincere congratulations on this very special occasion, and best wishes for many more years of happiness together.
That works. Good job, Mr. Keys.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Bobby, how you doing?
Congratulations, Mrs. Keys.
Camille grew up in the funeral business. Her dad had a funeral home in Hamtramck, and her brother was a funeral director. When I started out, Bob was my right-hand man. He had a limousine company and the funeral coaches, but every Catholic funeral he was there with me, so I appreciate it. Really good job. Okay. Oh, here, wait a minute. You get it. Here's your gift. Yes.
Congratulations.
We missed at the Crime Commission.
Yeah.
Congratulations and many more.
She was one of the first shareholders. The last is Robert and Barbara Scharner. Shaner.
Whereas on November 26, 2015, Robert and Barbara Shaner will rejoice in the celebration of their 60th diamond wedding anniversary, and whereas their love and dedication is an inspiring example to all, and they will surely reminisce on their life together with great joy and cherished memories. And whereas Mr. and Mrs. Shaner have been longtime residents of Madison Heights, living in the city for 57 years. And whereas they have been blessed with their daughter Kathy and their grandchildren Matthew and Vincent. Now, therefore be it resolved that the Mayor and City Council of Madison Heights do hereby recognize and honor Robert and Barbara Shaner, wishing them and their family our sincere congratulations on this very special occasion, and best wishes for many more years of happiness together.
Good, please. Congratulations, ma'am.
Congratulations, ma'am.
Congratulations, Shaner.
Good job, sir. Way to go.
All the best, sir. Congratulations.
Oh, yeah, but what a happy occasion. Sir, how you doing? Congratulations. Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, they're gonna take our picture here for a quick second. Yes.
All right, good, thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations again. Uh-huh. Oh, wait a minute. Here's your gift. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Congratulations.
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 Thank you.
I don't know if you noticed it or not, but how gorgeous these women are after 60 years of marriage. So I think they've all been on pedestals that their husbands catered to them. Thank you. Congratulations very much, everybody. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Are there any additions or deletions? If not, let's go to business licenses initial. And we have two applicants. The first, GPS Hospitality Partners. The third, doing business as Burger King, a fast food restaurant at 1540 East 12 Mile Road. Okay, see you later. I think there's cookies and donuts out there. What there? Yeah. Oh, it's right there. Oh, okay. Yeah. They're all leaving. Well, okay, you want to read that business license, or? Yeah. Oh, no, you just want it on the second one, don't you? Just so you know, yeah. And the second one is Mr. B's Quick Stop, a gas station at 28945 John R. Road.
And Your Honor, we would have two recommendations. The staff and the city attorney's office and I would recommend, with regard to the first business license, that the motion be subject to compliance with all departmental and ordinance requirements, which is our standard language. And with regard to Mr. B's Quick Stop, that the conditions also include that there will be no video or coin-operated devices on the premises of this establishment as recommended by the city attorney's office and police department.
Okay, so on the first one, can we have a motion for approval?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Clark.
I'd make a motion to approve business license initial for the GPS Hospitality Partners, also known as Burger King.
Thank you.
This is a change of ownership.
Okay. Second on this?
Your Honor.
Mr. Corbett,
Your Honor.
Discussion? All in favor?
And Your Honor,
Yes.
the maker and support agree to subject to compliance with ordinance and departmental requirements.
Yeah.
Yes, Your Honor.
Discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Number 2 is the Mr. B's. Quick stop. We have a motion on this one, please.
Your Honor.
Mr. Corbett.
Sir, I move that the council approve the business license subject to 2 sets of requirements. One would be compliance with the normal departmental approvals, and number 2, additionally, that no coin-operated or video devices be operated on the location, sir.
Thank you, sir. Second,
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Gettings.
second.
Okay, discussion. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next item on the agenda, business licenses, temporary and seasonal. We have nothing scheduled for this evening. Likewise, business licenses, non-commercial. We have no public hearings this evening. Is there anything on the agenda that anyone in the audience would like brought forward at this time? If not, then let's go to meeting open to the public. Anybody wishing to address council, please feel free to do so. We'd ask that you give us your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Gloria Moore. I live at 27368 Dartmouth. I live in South Madison Heights area. I like our parks the way they are. They could use a sprucing up. I mean, some grass seed, that sort of thing, and some extra trees. And from what I hear, some people are interested in a walkway and some play equipment. But basically, I don't like the idea of having housing there, and I would much prefer that the residents are able to keep their own community parks. And it's so unfortunate that Halfman Sunset Park was traded off for that other property near Rosie's, and because the residents there need it as much as the area where I'm at. We need Edison Park. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else, please? Good evening, sir.
Jason Shepard, 20465 Starina, Clinton Township, Michigan. 2011, I was involved in a car accident. You guys put me off work and on work for 3 years hurt. I worked for 3 years hurt, at which point in time, you continued to send me to doctors and send me to doctors, at which point in time then you decided to finally approve the back surgery that you owed me to get done. That left the city in a quandary of what to do, whether or not to continue my employment or to retire me out. Against my objections, you decided then to retire me out. I made my complaints to Chief Roberts, who then forwarded me to Ms. Mishak. That got me nowhere because Mishak is completely inept and incapable of doing her job. She kept pushing me around and pushing me around. I complained to Mr. Myers, and I complained to Ms. Marsh. Ms. Marsh, who then told me, it's not my department. Well, unless I'm mistaken, the assistant city manager, everybody is her department. So I'm making complaints to her, trying to get my paychecks continued while I'm off work. For 3 years, I have my paychecks turned on and off, on and off, on and off, on and off. Then it finally gets down to retirement time. I asked Ms. Marsh to give me any kind of minutes, any time of pension board meetings where it was going to be discussed for my retirement. She gave me the date. She then changed the date without notifying me and went ahead and retired me anyway without affording me any opportunity to speak on my behalf. Now it's been 6 months since you forcibly retired me. No pension numbers. I haven't gotten one scrap of paper from you people. I worked for you for 16 years. I haven't gotten one piece of paper. I haven't gotten my retirement ID. 16 years I gave you people. Broke fingers, ribs, broke my back. Now I got to walk around with my back destroyed for the rest of my life. And by the way, I can't go out and get another job in the field that I did and dedicated 20 years of my life to, all because of bureaucracy garbage. The funny part is I can't even get over what you did to me. You didn't like me, fine. I can get over that. But you got 2 other guys who did nothing Nothing. They didn't even have complaints in their files. And you treated them the same way. You got guys around here that are working, and don't even get complaints in their files. And you're turning off their paychecks. You're not affording them any opportunity to do anything. And this is how you repay their service. The other guy who I'm speaking of had 18 years on. You promoted him. And this is the thanks you give him. The other guy, he's hurt worse than that. And now you got another guy who's got brain tumors, and he's going to go out. What are you going to do to him? You turn his pay off? Oh, that's right. We had to kick around the hat and raise up 20 grand so we could pay that. Because you're going to flush him down the tube just like you flushed me, the other guy, and the third guy. I want my pension numbers. That's not too much to ask. You retire me out, fine. There's nothing I can do about it. There's nothing I can say about it. Give me my pension numbers. I worked for you for 16 years. You owe me a retirement ID. Give me the ID. It's not that complicated. Don't tell me the machine's broke, because it's not. You're over there hiring people every day now. Between me and the other guy that you retired out, you were able to hire 4 people. Because you're hiring in people that don't know any better and are taking anything they can get. It's ridiculous. You people ought to be ashamed of yourselves. All of you. This is how you treat your employees. All I wanted was that chance to speak to somebody. Nah. 10 of you up here. None of you got a question?
Ben, go ahead.
No, Your Honor, the staff and I aren't going to comment publicly on employee situations. This is not the appropriate forum for that. We'll be happy to report back to the council, and I will make sure that staff and I review Mr. Sheppy's comments from tonight in regard to the information he's requested.
Mr. Myers, I've been waiting 4 years. I think I've been more than patient. And I've tried to set up appointments, and I've tried to talk to the people. I tried to talk to your employees. Ms. Meshach is your direct contact. She was copying you on the emails. Did you ever discipline her when she released my medical records to all the people in the emails that she wasn't supposed to do? You were copied on the email. I made complaints about that to Ms. Marsh. Ms. Marsh works for you. I complained to Ms. Marsh. I tried to set up to talk to people. What else would you have me do? I've waited 4 years. That was while I was working for you. Now I'm not working for you anymore. Now I'm off on my own, out in the free world, scraping by. I can't get another job now because you flushed me out. So what time are we going to do this? I've been more than patient. I've been trying to get a hold of you. I can't talk to Chief Roberts about it because it's not his area. When I got in trouble at the police department, it was noted to me that while I wore a uniform, I was representing the city. I represented everybody. Right? So if I'm representing everybody wearing a uniform, how come the assistant city manager isn't representing me? How come when I go to her for a complaint, how come she's not represented? There's only one person higher than her to complain to, and that's you. And all of you people.
Okay, well, let us,
So when are we going to talk about it?
let us set up a date with you, with Mr. Myers, Ms. Marsh.
And my comments are the same, Your Honor.
Okay. Okay. They'll be in touch. Thank you, sir.
Awesome.
Yeah. Anybody else wish to address council? Good evening.
Good evening, Mary Bush, 1117 East Hudson. I'm going to seem like a pussycat.
See what?
I'm going to seem like a pussycat after that. I'm here to talk about the Halfman project. Thank you for your comments, Gloria. Thank you for everybody else who's here representing. I actually had some thoughts about this because about 2 months ago, I asked all of you to be transparent in the process and to get the comments from the citizens who live around the Halfman project. And God bless you, you did that. You had a meeting that people were invited to at the Parks and Rec where we got to hear about the Habitat for Humanity and what the school board wanted to do. And I really appreciate and thank you for putting that in there. I appreciate the effort that was made by Mark Bliss and the other council members who came to Halfman Elementary to listen to the citizens and talk about, if the city gets that space back, what would you do with it? Well, I still get this sense that there are things going on behind the scene that are not transparent to the citizenry, and I would like that addressed. One of the concerns I have is the Parks and Recs Advisory Board minutes are not up to date since May. So everything that's gone on since June, July, the meeting at Halfman, none of those minutes are in where the citizens can review them. I have a concern, Mr. Myers, because in reviewing the school board meetings that were videotaped, Superintendent Speck made the comment, well, I had breakfast with Ben Myers and he's all on board with this and things will just be a formality. I don't trust him as far as I could throw him, but I want you to know that that impression is left, that somehow there's something going on with the city and the school board that the citizens are being left out of. I understand that from Councilman Bliss that the Parks and Advisory Rec will make their recommendation in the first week of October, and I eagerly anticipate that. The other thing is I want to speak to your souls for a minute. This city is 60 years old. That's a little over 2 generations. The decisions you make about this Halfman little strip of land, and if you look at the city as a whole and look at the green space, Halfman is a teeny tiny little block of park space for everybody that's below Lincoln. And those are not going to suddenly turn into Birmingham wealthy people. These are people who are new families, older people on fixed income, people like me who are single and bought a house and, you know, we're scraping by. We don't get the double marriage income tax reduction. So we have a lot of, if you look at the survey that was gone through, the majority of people there are 35 and older. Having a park for people like us to retire to is not just about my retirement, but it's about the 4th and 5th generations when all of us are dead and the city will still have a park there for the people who will live in those homes when we're not there anymore. And that's the decision that you're going to make that will impact that area for its quality of life. And I beg you, find a way. Convince the school board that what they need to do is not only surrender that property back to the city, but find a way to buy Halfman from them or somehow compromise and settle the case so that the city gets to retain its green space. I beg you.
Thank you.
I have one more thing and then I'm done.
Okay.
In the village, in the village, in the village, life repeats itself, life repeats itself. There is sunlight, there is darkness. The dark repeats itself, the light repeats itself. Yet life is never dull. It pats the drum hide of the night and is satisfied. It listens for footfalls when the dogs bark. In the village, in the village, in the village. In the village, in the village, in the village, life repeats itself, life undoes itself, and then does itself up in the same guise. We are careful not to fail to repeat the same salutations, the same farewells our parents and our parents' parents use. They are wise and we are small, the day long. Death comes but once, but when it comes to life, no one would be unwilling to repeat, in the village, in the village, in the village. Save our park.
Thank you. Anybody else wish? Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Ron Goatley, 320 East Farnham. I've lived in this city all my life, as of my parents and my grandparents. My grandparents moved to this city before it was a city. Reading back over the heritage books and the history of the city, something the city always prided itself was its parks. Halfman Park, yet a small park, is the only park south of Lincoln, east of John R. in our city. If we lose that park there, there's no place for the children to play. We need to keep that park. Now, I'm not going to say that entire area needs to stay a park. Wildwood Park, between Gregg and Cowan, Delton and Osmond, there's 6 or 8 lots at the end of the block that are a park. As a child, I played in that park, and there was a park at the end of my block to play in. The children south of Lincoln will not have a park, and that is not something we want to see in this city. Over the last few days, I have visited many parks in this area. Last night I was at Rosie's Park for the eclipse, and I saw families gathering, people walking. This evening when I stood outside waiting for the meeting to begin, I saw joggers in Civic Center Park. I was over at Huffman Park, children playing. If we get rid of this park, there'll be no place for the children to play. And I heard a comment about Mr. Myers having breakfast with the superintendent. In my business world, it's against the law to have breakfast when you're going into a contract with somebody.
His breakfast was a social event.
Okay.
I was a table away from, nothing was discussed. No business was discussed. Believe me, I will say that, yeah.
Okay, but comments that the superintendent did make lead the citizens to believe that. But I urge City Council to save the park.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate it. Anybody else? Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Wayne Rife, 950 East Lincoln Avenue. I was here last month stating my opinions and views on the former Sunset Park. First of all, I'm not sure why we're even discussing this at this time, because from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, the city has no control over that park until the school district closes a school. That could be next year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, we don't know. But so why we're even talking about building houses or reinstating the park or anything like that is kind of beyond me at this time. However, if the city does regain the parkland, the former Sunset Park, I too would like to see it returned to a park forum. I stated that last month that I'd like to see several amenities put in that park. By the city's own master plan, there is a deficiency of park area in that area, of parkland in that area. I feel like I'm a newcomer to the Madison Heights. I've only lived here 32 years, okay? But yet, when I moved into that park, to that house at 950 East Lincoln Avenue in 1984, 85, something like that, the city closed in late 1980s, early 1990s, closed the park across the street, which was the former Roosevelt Park, attached to Roosevelt School. And I stated at that time, stood right here in this hall, at this microphone, stating, please don't close that park. But it was indeed closed. And now, the former Sunset Park is now closed also. Now, you've closed 2 parks in my neighborhood. Since I've lived there in the 32 years I've lived there. You've closed 2 parks in my neighborhood. Try closing 2 parks north of 11 Mile and see what happens. Try closing 2 parks north of 12 Mile and see what happens. Try closing Ambassador Park and see what kind of objections you get from the neighborhood, from the citizens. I can guarantee it won't be pretty. When I stood here in 1989 asking you to keep Roosevelt Park open, I was told by, I forget who it was, could have been Mayor Suarez, could have been somebody else I don't recall anymore, that the city has an obligation or a history or whatever it was, don't remember the exact wording, of closing parks that are not adjacent to schools. That's why they wanted to close Roosevelt Park, because the school was closed. Well, at the time I said that Huffman Park has no school attached to it, nor does Wildwood Park have a school attached to it. So I was a little bit baffled by the city's response and basically thought they were liars by telling me that. Then 5 years ago, I stood here and said, please don't close Sunset Park. make a deal with the school, and it was closed. So what the city told me back in 1989 that you close parks that are not adjacent to schools was a lie in twofold. One, you kept Hoffman Park or Wildwood Parks open. There's no school attached to it. Number two, you closed Sunset Park, which is indeed adjacent to a school. And yes, that school was open at that time. So really, I'm quite baffled and dismayed and upset that the city keeps dumping on people in the South End. And please don't tell me that, yes, you made a DDA for us and put up a clock tower, because that does me absolutely no good. Now, I have a number of, as some of you know, I know Margene does, Councilwoman Scott does, that I have a number of high school boys that live with me that are not biologically mine. Some are exchange students. I have one this year from Hong Kong. And I have some others that live with me that attend either Madison Prep or Madison High School. And they choose to live with me because they don't want to go back home to their own house. They find my house to be safe. They enjoy living with me. And I know that some of you are also aware that I was the subject of an intense police investigation last fall, and also a corrupt police investigation last fall. Yeah, I know you can say what you want. I have proof. If you want to talk to me sometime, feel free. But my boys love to play basketball. They love to kick the soccer ball around. They love to go outside and play sports. You can't go to Wildwood Park and play basketball because the hoops were taken down. You can't go to Sunset Park because it's not even a park, and there was a basketball court there till 7, 8 years ago when it was closed for parking. Thank God for Dr. Harris at Arch Dental, who actually put up some basketball hoops for the neighbor kids to go play. Private resident opened his yard. God bless him.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else wish to address council? Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Jeremy Haggard. I live at 1116 East Brockton. I would like to also echo Wayne and Mary Bush's, and also the young lady here, Gloria, I believe her name is, about Sunset Park. I live adjacent to Halfman/Sunset Park. I can walk out my front door and I have a direct kitty corner view. I think it's very important that we keep the park open for the kids in the neighborhood. When I first moved here, I've lived here on and off since I graduated high school. I graduated from Lanphier in '94, not that that's important, but nonetheless, my child is of age to use the park. He is 13. He would love to go there. He goes there on occasion. If there were more things for him to have access to, yeah, I'm sure he would use it more. Lately, especially in the last probably 6 months to a year, there have been many, many more kids that utilize that park. Prior to that, it probably was a little sparse, but it's actually intensified quite a bit. Again, I would like to see that the park stays. Now, the Halfman thing is something that the school has to deal with on their end. I'm not sure how that all meshes with the city stuff, but I know the Habitat for Humanity thing was a kind of up in the air with that respect. Excuse me. I did look into Habitat for Humanity because I'm personally against the houses being put on that set of land. I think that the sources that Habitat has could be used within the city in the south, and especially, I believe most people in that area would qualify for the critical home repair. Not to mention, some of the business owners need to be held to a higher standard as far as upkeep of their building, so on and so forth. Because you cross, we use 11 miles as an example. Anything north of 11 mile tends to get a little more attention than the people in the south. I give city council and the city itself kudos for code enforcement. I've had contact with the code enforcement officer myself. I think she's trying very hard to do her job. She's very good at what she does. I think she needs some extra help. I think the city could probably get after, like I say, some of the business owners, especially on the 10-mile corridor. There are several buildings there that have windows that are busted out. That's just my opinion, my thoughts, and thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else wish to address council? If not, then moving on, let's go to item C on the agenda, communications. Ryan Spitter is a resignation from the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board.
Parks and Recreation Board member Ryan Spiteri has submitted his resignation from the board effective immediately. Staff and I recommend the council accept the resignation and declare the seat vacant.
Motion on this, please.
Your Honor,
Mr. Bliss?
I move that we accept Ryan Spiteri's resignation from the Parks and Rec Advisory Board and declare the seat vacant. Also give him the proper congratulatory statement.
Thank you. Second?
Mr. Mayor?
Mrs. Scott?
Second.
Discussion?
Your Honor,
Yes, sir.
just wanted to add, part of the reason that Ryan Spiteri joined the board was how much he advocates for the youth of our city. He owns Garage Muscle, which is a gym on 11 Mile, and he was actually, and him and his gym were just featured on the Today Show for their efforts with bullying. They've been taking a lot of steps towards a 501c3 program, and his SPEAK program, as he calls it, has been gaining a lot of traction in helping our youth feel better about themselves and combat bullying and in a way of being physically fit and really just that confidence that comes out of it. And so if possible, if staff could, I'd love to see his Today Show segment forwarded out via social media channels. And I'd also love to invite him out here to tell us a little bit about his bullying program and what those at home could do to help the serious issue that is bullying.
Good. Thank you. Any other discussion?
Your Honor, just one quick comment. It wasn't due to lack of interest that Mr. Spiteri resigned from the board. He did relocate out of the city.
Oh, okay. All right. We have then a motion by Councilman Bliss to accept the resignation, and a second by Councilwoman Scott. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed. Item D on the agenda, reports, and nothing is scheduled for this evening. Item E, items for future public hearings, nothing is scheduled. So we'll go to item F on the agenda, bid awards purchases, and we have a purchasing coordinator, and this is a fire chief replacement vehicle.
Staff and I recommend the council approve the purchase of a 2016 Police Interceptor utility vehicle from Signature Ford through the Macomb County Cooperative Purchasing Program at a unit cost of $28,413. Funds are budgeted and available for this scheduled replacement.
Thank you, sir. What's the wish of council on this?
Mr. Mayor?
Mrs. Scott?
I move for council to approve the purchase of a 2016 Police Interceptor utility vehicle from Signature Ford through the Macomb County Cooperative Purchasing Program and a unit cost of $28,413.
Thank you, ma'am. Second?
Mayor, second.
Mr. Clark. Discussion? Did they take in the old car and trade? Do you know? Joe, are they taking the old chief's car and trade?
Will there be a trade-in of the old vehicle? I think it's been reassigned, hasn't it, Mr. Vitale?
Your Honor, yes, that's correct, Ben.
It's been reassigned.
Reassigned, okay, good. Discussion, any other comments? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Moving on, under bid awards purchases, number 2, DPS Director, and this is a District Court HVAC improvements.
As part of the fiscal year 2015-16 capital improvement plan and budget, staff identified the need to improve the HVAC system at the 43rd District Court building to resolve temperature control issues, allow for remote control and diagnostic through the city's direct digital control system, which is the same system we have at the senior center, yield energy savings by replacing the aging rooftop units, and perform modifications to the existing system to correct ongoing issues. The total project cost was estimated and budgeted at $100,000 for this fiscal year. Having completed the RFP process, reviewed pricing, and conducted several follow-up meetings, staff believes that Denny's voluntary alternate proposal, along with their base bid, is the most economical means of addressing the court's HVAC needs with the funds available. Accordingly, staff, the city's energy consultant, Energy Sciences, and I recommend that City Council approve the contract to the lowest responsible bidder, Denny's Heating and Cooling, in a total estimated amount of $99,340 for their proposal. This amount includes the base bid at $66,640 plus 8 alternates at $32,700. Should council approve the contract, the project is scheduled to begin immediately and no building closures will be necessary. Mr. Vitale, along with Frank Schulmeister from Energy Sciences, are here if council has any questions.
What's the wish of council on this, please?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Clark.
I'd make a motion to approve the contract to the lowest responsible bidder, Denny's Heating and Cooling, in a total estimated amount of $99,340 for their proposal.
Thank you, sir. Second?
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Gettings.
Second.
Discussion? Any questions? Any questions, sir, Mr. Vitale? Okay. All in favor, then, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 3, bid awards purchasing, Department of Public Service Director, and this is 2015 major road joint and crack sealing.
Staff and I recommend that council award the contract for the 2015 Major Road Joint and Crack Sealing Repair Project to the lowest responsible bidder, Michigan Joint Sealing Incorporated, for the quoted unit pricing in a total amount of $61,100, which includes the original project scope of John R. N. Stevenson and the following additional high-priority major roads: East and North Avis, East Mandolin, Edward, and Campbell from 13 to 14. Funds are budgeted and available for this project.
Motion on this, please.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Clark.
I would make a motion to approve the contract for the 2015 Major Road Joint and Crack Sealing Repair Project to the lowest responsible bidder, Michigan Joint Sealing Incorporated, for the quoted unit pricing in a total amount of $61,100.
Thank you, sir. Second?
Your Honor.
And Mr. Corbett?
Support, sir.
Is this that wet seal or wet joint like we used on Parkcourt or on Greg?
Your Honor, no, this is an overband that kind of looks like a tar that goes over the crack about a couple inches on either side. There is a picture of it in the packet. Joe, I don't know if you have a more detailed explanation.
Your Honor, I think you're referencing spray patch versus what we're doing with the overbanding. Overbanding is typically a product that is used on an asphalt road,
Oh, okay.
but it addresses joint deterioration. So in the packet, there is a picture of what the application actually looks like, but it is for slowing down joint deterioration and keeping water out of the joint. So it's an asphalt application.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions, comments? If not, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Moving on, item G on the agenda, ordinances. Nothing is scheduled for this evening. Likewise, unfinished business. So we need approval of the last 2 meetings, special city council meeting of September 14th and the regular city council meeting. So number 1 would be the special city council meeting. Can I have approval on this one, please?
Your Honor.
Mr. Clark?
I'd make a motion that the minutes of the special meeting, September 14th, 2015, be adopted as printed.
Thank you, sir. Second?
Your Honor. Support.
Thank you, Mr. Corbett. Discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? And I need it for the regular city council meeting of September 14th. Please, I need a motion.
Your Honor.
Mr. Corbett.
Sir, I move that the council approve the minutes as printed for the regular meeting of September 14th, 2015, sir.
Thank you, sir. Second?
Mr. Mayor.
Mrs. Scott?
Second.
Okay, discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Appointments? I haven't seen any appointments. Does anybody?
Yeah.
Yeah, do you have one?
Mr.
sir?
Mayor?
Yes.
I'd like to make an appointment. Can we lump them together, or do we have to do them individually?
Oh, no. Oh, who's it for? I mean, what's
This is for the Multicultural Relations
Hold on,
Advisory
okay.
Board.
All right, just a second here. Just a minute. Let me find it here.
You've got, Your Honor, you've got different terms for those positions, so it might be, so that staff wants to be clear which terms that council would like the appointees to.
The 3-year terms, correct? but then.
Right, but they have different expiration dates.
Yeah.
So we should take them one at a time.
So then I'd like to make a motion to nominate or appoint Nellie Brown for the, would be 8/24/16, is that correct?
Yeah.
Why don't you give her, I'm sorry, Your
longest.
Honor. Your Honor?
Yes.
Why don't you give her the longer term, 18, and then work down? It's, unless you have a reason, I'm
No,
not-
I,
whatever you
thank you,
want.
Councilman, yes. I would change that and put it 8/24/18, please. We'll start from the bottom, go up.
There you
For the 8/24/18, is that
Yes,
what
sir.
you said?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. Second?
Your Honor?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
second.
Oh, thank you. Discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
The second one would be,
Nominate Flora Dolly Ferris for the Multicultural Relations Advisory Board, starting 8/24/18 as well.
okay. Second,
Your Honor?
Mr. Corbett.
Support?
Discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 3, sir?
Third, I'd like to appoint Anthony Austin for the Multicultural Relations Advisory Board, starting as well 8/24/18. Or, excuse me, ending 8/24/18, excuse me.
Okay. Second,
Mr. Mayor,
Mrs. Scott.
second.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
was
sir.
that Anthony Austin?
Yes.
Is that right, Dave?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Second,
go. We have Scott.
we already got it, okay.
Yeah.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay.
Fourth, I want to nominate Armilla Agarwa?
Agarwal.
Excuse me.
Agawam, okay. Amelia, yeah.
Sorry, for the Multicultural Relations Board, ending 8/24/18 as well.
Okay. Second, oh, go
There-
ahead.
There's 3 spots that are 8/24/18, correct?
No, you're not, there's
We got four.
four.
Oh, I'm sorry, 4.
4, yeah.
I stand corrected, sorry.
All right, Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
second.
Okay. Discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
And lastly, not last but least, Valerie Devine for Multicultural Relations Advisory Board, ending, this one's different, 8/24/17.
Okay. Second on that, please.
Your Honor?
Mr. Corbett.
Support, sir.
Discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, are there any other nominations for any of the other boards or commissions that anybody knows of? I didn't see any. Okay. So with that then, finished with the appointments. I think let's go into closing comments from council. And start, Councilman Corbett, sir, if you will, Mayor Pro Tem Corbett.
Just one item, Your Honor, and I hadn't even planned to say anything, but occasionally there are times that something, I always wonder what people are thinking at home when somebody gets up in front of the microphone and all you can hear are crickets when they walk away. The gentleman who came here, the former officer, I think the public should understand, and I can say honestly, I know absolutely nothing whatsoever about him, his situation, what happened to him. I know absolutely nothing whatsoever about it. What I do know, as a matter of fact, is regardless of what the man stood at that podium and said, right or wrong, he could have been completely right, completely wrong, nobody at this table could answer him. We were absolutely hand-tied by the rules regarding employment and disability, and so he may be right, he might be wrong, I don't know. But there are union policies and so on, and contracts, and that's all I'm going to say, because I really don't. Like I said, I'm sure we'll get a report, we'll find out what's happening. But just so you understand, we would have had a whole nother issue had either the mayor or the city manager opened their mouth and got into details on this. Then we would have had a whole nother thing that wouldn't have involved whatever the original was. So I wish the man well. I hope things work out. We'll get a report on it. But I don't think the fact that nobody here could say anything changes anything about whatever it is. So that's all, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Bliss, sir.
Yes, Your Honor. So, as was mentioned by quite a few people tonight, we just completed the public forum for the Halfman Sunset Park dialogue that's been taking place. The board will be meeting the first week of October to make their recommendation to council based on that feedback. And so now that we're kind of nearing the end, I feel like there are some thank yous owed. Frankly, there was some great suggestions and feedback, and the process itself was wonderful to be a part of. I know myself and my colleagues up here thoroughly enjoyed seeing that discussion unfold. First and foremost, I'd like to thank the, I think, almost 80 residents who came out to the public forum, and the hundreds of residents who filled out the online survey. Even just taking that time was so critical and valuable, and I'm personally thankful that so many people got involved and shared their opinions and suggestions to us. I'd also like to thank the Parks and Rec board members. They met half a dozen times to review all the options. They also hosted the survey and the forum. And so these are citizen board members, and they really went out of their way to make sure that this process was as well vetted as possible. I'd also like to thank the city staff for compiling all the information the board has and will need as a part of their review and helping to set up the forum. Thank you to Madison District for generously hosting the forum at Halfman to bring it as close to the residents that are most effective as possible. Also, thank you to the rest of council for entrusting this issue to the Parks and Rec Board for that thorough and public review. I think that they made you proud. I know they made me proud personally. They did a wonderful job. And then finally, I'd like to say there are 2 alternate seats open on the Parks and Rec Board. We hear a lot from the public through this process about their passion for the parks and all these great suggestions. I'd love to encourage everybody that spoke to apply for one of those Parks and Rec board member slots. That way you'll have an even, I guess, a closer seat to the action to be able to make those suggestions and be a part of what would even be the next master plan 5 years from now. Also, there are 3 student representative slots as well. So if you know any students in either Lanford, Madison, or Bishop Foley, please encourage them to seek out those slots, because we'd love to get student input as well, because they're probably the closest to playing in those parks, and so their input is valuable. And that kind of leads me to an interesting program that was brought up a few months ago. I have a kind of unique position in that I as a child, I sat in the gallery, and I grew up, I'm 3rd generation in this city, and one of the cool things that I got to do as a high schooler was sit in a mock council. I got to sit in Ben's chair, actually, and play the part of the city manager and really learn how the departments in the city work and learn how city government works, which is frankly under-taught in schools. There's a lot of focus on federal and state politics and government, but not as much on the local level. On the local level, as we've seen through this discussion with the former Sunset Park, is integral in the quality of life for everybody around them. And so we're a couple months away from rolling out a Madison Heights Council internship program that will be modeled after that mock council program back in the day, that'll give high schoolers the chance to sit up in the seat, to understand what each department is doing, and to really understand the city as a whole. And so it'll be a great opportunity for them. Anybody that's interested, please contact us. We'll try to make the information available as it comes. We're, again, a few months away. It'll be kind of early in 2016 that'll be rolled out. But just know that it's coming, because it's important for our students to get as involved as our citizens have been over the past couple of months with the Sunset Project. I'd love to get more and more students understanding what the city is, and you know what, maybe 15, 20 years from now, they can be sitting up here like us. That's it, Your Honor. Thank you.
Councilman Gettings.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. Just like to thank the folks in the Halfman area and the surrounding area for coming to the meeting and mostly for filling out the survey. I thought it was an excellent survey, had a lot of good thoughts in there. And Mr. Mayor, could we possibly ask Mr. Myers for a report on the police officer, if at all possible, in a couple of weeks?
Your Honor, yes, staff and I will give council a full report on that situation.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Sherman, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On a personal note, I just wanted to thank the city council, city manager, department heads for their nice cards and condolences on the passing of my mother. My mother and father were married for 64 and a half years. And although they didn't live in the city of Madison Heights, my father works in the city of Madison Heights, and he's done that for 45, 50 years. So there must be something in the air in Madison Heights, call it marriage longevity or something, that keeps couples together. So I just wanted to thank you for your kindness. It was really appreciated by the entire family. Thank you.
Mr. Myers.
Well, Your Honor, I can't compete with those numbers, but today is my 24th wedding anniversary, so that's all, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Your Honor?
Yes.
Perhaps we should consider a certificate for Mrs. Myers.
Yeah, I would think so. Ms. Prinz.
No comments this evening, thank you.
Okay. Councilman Clark, sir.
Just a couple of things, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to go along with what Councilman Corbett said about the gentleman that was up here. You know, there's contracts, there's union, there's so many things involved, and I think he sort of blindsided all of council because we don't really get involved in that type of negotiations. We're involved in union negotiations with different departments, but something like this, we are totally unaware of, and we were totally blindsided. I don't think anybody here knew about it. But one thing I will say about Mr. Sherman tonight, at his mother's funeral, I think it was the best and the warmest speech or talk that I've ever heard. It was just beautiful the way he explained his mother and his life through his mother when she was living.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
The only other thing is the Veterans Program, don't forget that, Tuesday, November 10th at 11 a.m. at the Senior Center. If you plan on attending and having a free meal with the rest of the veterans, call the Senior Center. Also, don't forget the apple pie fundraiser. If you want a wonderful apple pie, just call ahead to reserve your pie and call the Senior Center there also. They're $12 a piece, but it's well worth it. Also, we have a couple cousins up from Florida. I would like to say hello to them. They're staying with us right now, and hopefully they're going to stay for a few more days. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
You're very gracious. Councilwoman Scott.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to thank all the citizens, especially that came tonight in regards to the Halfman situation. It is really enlightening to us. We get an education sitting here, and I appreciate everybody that shared their feelings and their ideas. Believe me, we are all listening. It may not seem like that, but we listen and we analyze what the situations are and do our best to make sure that everybody, or near everybody, is satisfied with their life here in Madison Heights and what the city council can do for them. So I appreciate all the time that they've taken from their busy schedules to come here and tell us how they feel. The trivia question from last week was, in what decade was the Lanphier District formed? And your choices were A, 1830s, B, 1920s, C, 1950s, and D, 1960s. Some of them may be misleading because the Madison District was formed in 1924. And Lanphier High School was not built until the current one in the 60s. But the answer to the question, believe it or not, is they were formed in the 1830s. That's when we had our first residents here, and of course, you know, that was then Royal Oak Township, but our first residents settled here in the 1800s and in the mid-1800s. And one of the first things they did was organize the children together. There were only about 40 of them, and start a little school. And it was built right on the corner of 13 and John R., where the old Hiller School was. It was a little log cabin, and that soon became overcrowded, and they had to build an annex fashion. It was just a little white frame building that was later torn down, and then Hiller School was built. Some of the classes were also built then in 1957 and taken over. The high school was first in 1957 for Lanphier High School, and then it was later turned into the middle school, which it is today, and that's John Page Middle School. So we have quite a history of education here in Madison Heights, and thank goodness that our early citizens recognize the fact that their children need to be educated, and I think they very successfully are here in Madison Heights. Speaking of that, in the Lanphier district, there is a group that has worked all summer and will be working all year for graduating seniors. As you know, a few years ago, they started having a senior all-night party. This is held on the night that the children graduate, and it's basically to give them something to celebrate, but keep them off the streets and keep them out of trouble. So a group of parents and grandparents get together on a regular basis and plan a fantastic party for them to be held in June on graduation day. One of their fundraisers is, one of their fundraisers is going to be held this weekend, and it's going to be a Greek Town Casino fundraiser. Well, you'll get transportation on a bus. You'll meet in Royal Oak at the Senior Center and go to the casinos and enjoy the evening. It is, like I say, a fundraiser. You can find out more about it by visiting the Lanphier website, or you can call me directly. I'm in the phone book, so please, we can give you any kind of information that about that event. And it is October 3rd, so you need to get your reservations in as soon as possible. I know, our city manager reminded me the next trivia question. I have to admit that I went to the Lanphier football game, the Michigan State football game, and yesterday was my grandson's birthday, so I do not have a trivia question for this week, but I promise that next meeting I'll have two for you. And I would also like to thank my grandson for being the wonderful young man he is, and wishing him a happy 17th birthday today. His name is Dylan Johnson. He's a senior at Lanphier, and I wish him the very best. I know he has a great future for him. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilman Soltis, sir.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, I'm going to do something tonight I haven't done since I've been elected. I'm not going to say anything. Closing comments. I'm recovering from back surgery. You probably see me squirming here and turn all red. But anyway, but I do want to thank those who volunteered for the Multicultural Advisory Board. I think it's great that they did. We got a couple more lined up, so thank you.
Thank you, sir. I've got a couple of announcements, actually. I got a letter from for Jim Schaefer, and this is from the Michigan chapter of the American Planning Association. And it said, Dear Jim, on behalf of the Board of Directors of the Michigan Association of Planning, the Michigan chapter of American Planning Association, it gives me great pleasure to inform you that you have achieved 30-year member designation with the organization. He's been an active member in the association since 1985, and there's going to be a recognition awards banquet in Detroit on Wednesday, October 7th. Congratulations, Jim. And right here we have one for, just a minute, Board of Directors, Michigan Planning. Dear Cheryl, on behalf of the Board of Directors of the Michigan Association of Planning, the Michigan chapter of the American Planning Association, it gives me great pleasure to inform you that your community has achieved the 20-year group member designation with the organization. We've been an active member of the association since 1993, 22 years, and deserve our deepest appreciation and thanks for your long-term commitment to the Quality Community Planning and Organization. Okay. Just a second. I want to remind everybody the Fall Festival at the Nature Center on Sunday from noon to 4 o'clock. Again, it's the hay rides, the cider, the donuts, the petting zoo, cider, right? And apples. What else, Joe? Is that it?
Picks and sticks.
Picks and sticks, yeah, that's right. The banjos and mandolins, yeah. And the other day, yesterday morning, walking in the Nature Center, those signs that are held up by 4x4s, there was 4 of them that were completely destroyed, pulled out of the ground, and actually broken, the signs. But today, Oakland County had repaired them all. But some of these people, I know they aren't bright, but boy, are they strong, because they actually tore a 4x4 down lengthwise, and I'd never seen that before. So that's taken care of.
And the fall festival's free. You might want to tell them
It's what?
that. It's free.
Oh, free. The Fall Festival, free. Coffee, the donuts and everything, hayride and everything is free. So bring your grandchildren, bring yourselves. There was a fundraiser last Thursday for Lieutenant Tom Kenyon, and gentleman's having surgery, I think for, is it brain or something? Yeah, brain operation that's going to take place in California on Wednesday, and I think it's a pretty much a touch and go operation, if I'm not mistaken. I think the fundraiser was a great success, and I'd like to ask you to keep him in your prayers, if you will, please, especially on Wednesday. And if everything goes well, I think he should be home over the weekend. I don't know for sure.
No, Your Honor, it was my understanding that part of the surgery was he and his family had to stay in California for a while, that he could not fly, and those were expenses that they were trying to cover.
That worked, okay, very good, yeah. Here's another one for the city of Madison Heights. Dear Mayor Swanson, I'm pleased to notify you that the city of Madison Heights, Michigan has received the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award for the current budget from the Government Finance Officers Association, GFOA. This award is the highest form of recognition in the government budgeting and represents a significant achievement of your organization, and congratulations to Ben, right, for this?
Your Honor, I want to especially recognize Deputy City Manager Melissa Marsh, our former Executive Assistant Kathy Vesprini, our HR Director Amy Mishak, and all of our department heads for their contributions to the document.
Okay, good, yeah. And I don't think I have anything more. Anybody else want to say anything? Anybody from the audience want to address council? Well, if not, then, thanks everybody for being here, and we'll look forward to seeing you on Sunday at the Nature Center, 12 to 4. How's that? Thank you.